Everyone there? Could you just scroll through so I can see people?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So we've got Lizzie on tech this afternoon, looking after us, linking us up from around the world. Great. Excellent. Okay. So I hope the group's been going well. If I was a proper retreat leader, I'd be suggesting themes for you to talk about in your groups and all that sort of thing. But heck, you're order members. You're going to talk about whatever you talk about anyway. So I haven't been doing that. So in session 2, we carried on exploring a little bit more about the mandala offering, and we're looking at punya and merit and what that might mean. So, yeah, unpacking that a bit as a sort of positive energy, a positive force, or a positive aura that attracts to you what's not necessarily just what's nice, but what's helpful. So before we meditate, just so I don't have to meditate for a whole hour, I'm just going to sort of round off things a little bit about the mandala offering, and then this evening, or in next session, session 4, we'll go on to looking at Cha, the ritual offering that's some order members practice. Yes, so one thing which we haven't touched on, which is always usually mentioned in the tradition, is the effects of doing mandala offerings, particularly if you practice intensively. With a lot of the practices, there are signs that the practice is working. And I've sometimes found it quite good to know what these are. It's just encouraging, just to get a sense of the kinds of states of mind that you might get into. So in general, signs of success, in inverted commas, through practicing mandala offering, and therefore practicing generosity fully in general, would be that your body and mind feel light. And it's said that you don't need all that much food, I guess because the generosity works against craving, and there's something very nourishing and fulfilling about making all these endless offerings. And you develop a real joy and real happiness in giving. You just really look forward to opportunities to give and to be generous. They start to just feel just natural and happy things. And you have more confidence in the dharma in general and in the practice, and there's a greater feeling of freedom. More energy is liberated. And also there are various sort of dream signs that appear or can appear. Although it's usually said for them to be in any way reliable that the practice has really gone well. They have to appear more than once. They have to be appearing fairly consistently. What else? Yes, and during the day, there's a sense of spontaneity in how you're responding to life. I think that this giving, it kind of promotes a sort of flow of energy. Your mind kind of produces one offering after the next, sort of like one skillful thought after the next. It's everything that, all the offerings, as I said, they're kind of manifestations of heart feeling. So it's as if there's a very direct, immediate, kind of giving of yourself to life and situations. So everything flows very easily and spontaneously. And yes, it's not all kind of premeditated, and there aren't kind of many obstacles to your energy just flowing into whatever situation it is. Oh yes, and then thoughts arise frequently, like, may I make my whole life an offering? And there's those sorts of wishes that just come out. Yes, there's such sort of joy in practicing in this way that it's like that sense of just wanting to surrender yourself to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas becomes really intense. And in general, there's a sort of a satisfaction in mind and a kind of peace. Yes, there's that peace of wanting very little. So those are some of the traditional signs of the kinds of mental states that come out of this practice, and it just gives us a sense, something to aspire to and get a flavor for. Yeah. Okay. And I mentioned earlier that the mandala offering is one of the sequence of the Mula Yogas, and I got a question about the Tape Delam Mula Yogas, and how the Mula Yogas fitted into this system of meditation. So Bhante came back from India with a text of the Mula Yogas called the Tape Delam. I think the translation that he had for the Tape Delam was the smooth road to emancipation, if I remember rightly. But De is kind of joy, and Lam is path, and Tape is freedom. So it's the joyful path to freedom. And the version of the Mula Yogas that was in that text came from the Nyingma tradition, and they were all based on Padmasambhava and the Padmasambhava refuge tree. So some of us practiced and still practice that version, but then over time the practices were revised to take into account Bhante's wanting, to have the Shakyamuni right at the center of our practice. But those Tape Delam versions, they're still out there. They're still available to order members. And there is a movement from going for refuge, developing bodhicitta, Vajrasattva purification, to the mandala offering, and then on from there into Guru Yoga, and then further practices using all that as a foundation. And I've been really appreciating some of the questions, a lot of which I haven't managed to answer yet. But either during the retreat or afterwards, I'll try and make sure everyone gets some kind of an answer. Yes, so the question of the Mula Yogas and the system of meditation, if I have thought about it before, I've forgotten. But actually, I think they do connect, at least in my mind, at least this afternoon. So the Mula Yogas start with going for refuge. And going for refuge is what you integrate your life around. Yeah. It's like you put going for refuge to the Three Jewels. That's the central momentum, the central thrust of your life. And particularly as you go for refuge, again and again, making prostrations, it's like all the different aspects of yourself are brought into relation with the refuge. Yeah. One of the things that I appreciated when I've been doing full prostrations and going for refuge in the past is whatever mental state I was in, I could always just like throw myself on the ground and go for refuge with it. And it had quite an integrating effect in that way. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm happy to link going for refuge and prostration practice with integration. And then we move on to, we're not just going for refuge for ourselves, we're going for refuge to all beings. We're wanting to devote ourselves to ending the suffering of all life eventually, but whatever we can do. So there's with that bodhicitta, that's the beginnings of deep compassion. We have positive emotion in as expansive and potentially deep a form as we could have it. Yeah, I can't think of a more inspiring ideal to devote my heart to than the bodhicitta. So there's tremendous positive emotion there. And then we come on to Vajrasattva, who it would be very handy if that practice was somehow associated with spiritual death. And Vajrasattva is associated with death anyway, and there's some connections between death and physical death and spiritual death. And with purification, we're purifying the kleshas, but we're also purifying delusions. We're purifying wrong views, and that's where spiritual death comes about. Yeah, spiritual death isn't the death of an ego or a self, it's the death of delusions about things. It's the delusion of being a fixed, separate me somehow in here in the middle of experience. Yeah. So Vajrasattva practice, certainly we can link to spiritual death. Which then brings us on to the mandala offering and spiritual rebirth. So it's a bit like having purified the obstacles and delusions. Then with the reduction or cessation of that sort of self-centered view of the world, mind starts to discover its own depths and its own riches again. They start to come to the surface, and we kind of encourage that whole process through practices like mandala offering. Yeah, all the richness of the mind sort of becomes discovered as we find more and more richness, more and more beauty, more and more wonderful offerings, and devote them to the refuge, to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So yes, the mantra offering is an incredibly enriching practice, but it's not as if we're enriching ourselves from anywhere else. We're discovering the riches of our own mind. Just how rich our mind is when it's flowing freely and creatively. And then after the mandala offering, we come to Guru Yoga. And Guru Yoga is essentially a deep opening of ourselves to receptivity to the lineage, to the teachers. And it takes us into a much more expansive experience of things. So yes, I think you can link I could unpack all that more, but there is a link between Guru Yoga and spiritual receptivity. Yeah, we're sort of deeply receptive to the Dharma. The Guru Yoga enhances our spiritual receptivity. So anyway, it was just trying to set the whole thing in context a little bit. Yeah. So hopefully that works for you a little bit. Okay, so now let's do some meditation. And what should we do? Yes. At the end of the last session, we did a meditation which was offering the gift of awareness. So over previous sessions, we'd offered material goods, connected with Ratnasambhava, in my mind at least, friendliness and love, connected with Amitabha, fearlessness, connected with Moga Siddhi, and then awareness, connected with Vairochana in the center of the mandala. And although awareness kind of is a giving of the Dharma, I think it would be good to complete our circle of generosity and giving by having a session of giving the Dharma to living beings. Yeah. So getting ourselves comfortable and settled. So in just sitting, we give ourselves to life. We let life be king. No need to change it or manipulate it. Just aware as it flows. Experience unfolding. And when we let life flow in this way, there's relaxation. And with relaxation, we feel more grounded, more connected to the earth. And from that firm, relaxed foundation, bring awareness up the spine, up through the body, letting the upper body be light, free. Now aware in the body. How is it to be embodied now? aware of the breathing. Breathing in, fully receiving life and its gifts. Breathing out, giving ourselves to the flow of life. Now bringing awareness to our heart center. Tuning into our deep desire for all suffering to come to an end, for all beings to wake up, be free, be at peace. And so on. And for that to happen, all these beings are going to need the Dharma. And so we invoke into our heart a refuge, an embodiment of how things are, an embodiment of skillful means and compassion. However that feels or appears to us. And with each in-breath, all our veils, the kleshas, the delusions, dissolve into the heart of the refuge. And are gone. And with each out-breath, all kinds of dharma fill our body-mind. Whether in the form of teachings or symbols, or a sense of direct intuitive communication. So with each in-breath, these deep causes of suffering, the fundamental causes of suffering, are taken away. And with each out-breath, our body-mind is filled so that we know that everything flows. that nothing has any substantial core. We know how to follow the path. We know how to live out of bodhicitta. And if it helps, we can see and feel this great outpouring of Dharma from our heart as light or as symbols, Dharma wheels, flaming swords and books, lotuses, vajras. Whatever helps most, to have this sense of being filled with the Dharma, completely confident in the Dharma, confident in how things are. And now, from the refuge in our heart, all these dharma treasures radiate out. In a great meditation. And with each in-breath, all the veils of the poisons and the delusions all dissolve into the heart of the refuge from more and more and more beings. And with each out-breath, dharma goes everywhere. To each being, appearing in just the way that works for them, that they can accept. Compassionate, skillful means. And just what they need. Whatever they need to see. Whatever they need to know. Whatever quality they need to unfold. Just that is what happens. I'll just allow a while. No need to say anything. Just let this great meditation from the refuge in our heart expand and go deeper. Seeing and feeling beings being freed from unhelpful patterns and habits, unskillful views and ideas. Becoming free, becoming full of Shraddha. Becoming full of love and wisdom. Until there are no causes of suffering anywhere. And so the Buddha, the refugee's meditation is fulfilled. And we relax, let go of doing anything. Just letting our experience be however it is. And finally, we dedicate the merits. May we all find the Dharma. May we all develop deep confidence in it. May we all practice it and share it and help it to spread. May we all help put an end to suffering. So thank you all for that. Well, thank you all for all that you're putting into the retreat. It's never practiced sort of quite that way before, giving material things and then friendliness and love and fearlessness. Those 5 meditations. It's been really, delightful to share it all with you. Okay, so go well, and I hope to see some of you in session 4. All the best. Lots of ways.